Okay, hello. Today I'm going to explain to you about how to draw glucose structure. Okay, so glucose has C6H12O6 formula. So it has 6 carbon. That's why glucose is hexose sugar. So glucose has two types: alpha glucose and I need to write longer. Okay, beta glucose. If you're not confident with this symbol during exam, you can always spell it: alpha glucose and then beta glucose. Okay, and then in our syllabus you need to know how to draw the ring form of glucose. So for alpha glucose and beta glucose, in our syllabus you need to know how to draw the glucose structure in the ring form. So the ring form for alpha glucose is like this. Okay, so this is carbon number 1, carbon number 2, carbon number 3, carbon number 4 and carbon number 5. Since glucose has 6 carbon, we need to show the carbon number 6 as well. So carbon number 6 is located at the top of the carbon number 5. So C, carbon number 6. So carbon number 6 linked with hydroxyl group and 2 hydrogen atoms. Okay? And carbon number 5 also linked with hydrogen atom. So it's better to complete this structure first so that you won't forget to write the hydrogen atom, because this is some of the mistake that most of students always do. So I'm going to complete the structure. Okay, we need to draw it closer to the carbon number 1. Okay, so make sure you draw your line is attached to the carbon number 1. Okay, so for carbon number 1 in the alpha glucose, the hydroxyl group is positioned downward and the hydrogen atom is positioned upward. Carbon number 2, the hydroxyl group is positioned downward or below and the hydrogen atom is positioned pointing upward. Okay, so for the bottom, for carbon number 3, the hydroxyl group is positioned upward and hydrogen atom is positioned downward. For carbon number 4, the hydroxyl group is positioned downward and hydrogen atom is positioned upward. So I'm done with alpha glucose. I'm going to continue with beta glucose. Okay, so I'm going to finish the carbon number 5 and carbon number 6, and then I'm going to continue to complete the other carbon. So for carbon number 1 in beta glucose, the hydroxyl group is positioned upward above and the hydrogen atom is positioned downward at the bottom. Carbon number 2, the hydroxyl group is positioned downward and the hydrogen atom is positioned upward. For carbon number 3, the hydroxyl group is positioned upward and hydrogen atom is downward. Carbon number 4, the hydroxyl group is positioned downward and hydrogen atom is positioned upward. So now I have a complete structure of alpha glucose and beta glucose in the ring form. Okay, what is the main difference between these two structures is based on the carbon number 1. For alpha glucose, carbon number 1 has hydroxyl group pointed downward, while for the beta glucose, at the carbon number 1, the hydroxyl group is pointed upward. Okay, so for another carbon, like carbon number 2, carbon number 3, carbon number 4, and carbon number 5 and 6, both has same position of molecules, like hydroxyl group, hydrogen atom, and also the carbon number 6. Okay, so very easy to write it if you memorize the position of hydroxyl group at each carbon. Okay, so I'm going to share with you a technique to memorize the position of hydroxyl group at each carbon. Okay, so it's very simple. This is the technique. You memorize this sequence of alphabets. For alpha glucose, the sequence of alphabets is B, A, B. For the beta glucose, the sequence of alphabet is A, B, A, B. Okay, so B stand for below or bottom, while A stand for above. Okay, in Malay, B stand for bawah, A stand for atas, so it's easy to memorize it, B and A. Okay, so this is the position of hydroxyl group. Start from the carbon number 1 until carbon number 4. Okay, so for BBAB, this is the position of hydroxyl group. Start from carbon number 1, carbon number 2, carbon number 3, and carbon number 4. So we see here alpha glucose at the carbon number 1, the position of hydroxyl group is at the bottom. Okay, so bottom, above, bottom. So easy. For beta glucose, the position of hydroxyl group start from the carbon number 1 is above. So carbon number 1 above, bottom, above, and bottom. So once you memorize the position of hydroxyl group, you just add hydrogen atom and everything is complete. So that's the easy way to memorize hydroxyl group position and hydrogen atom position, so you will have a complete structure of alpha glucose and beta glucose. So that's all for today. Thank you.